All right, so good morning and welcome to your first of four professional development for presidential ambassadors. I am your host, one of your hosts for today, Megan Morrow. I'm the Senior Associate Director of Career Services, Experiential Learning, and Employer Relations. I also teach the professional development for the students in the School of Business. I've had several of you as students. If you are a business student, you will have me, if you haven't had me yet, as part of your graduation requirement to take professional development. So some of this stuff we will be talking about today and throughout you will either be a refresher or you will see it again if you were in my class. I am not a native Floridian, but I've been down here for going on almost 25 years. So I call myself a local at this point. I have two boys. One is a Marine. I'm a proud Marine mom. The other wants to be a space monkey. So, we just love what God gives us. He is going to be an eighth grader at McKeel Academy. I have two dumb dogs that share a brain cell, and I have been here at Florida Southern for going on 4 years here at working at a career services. But my office is in Becker. I'm on the third floor, so if you ever want to come see me, please feel free to make an appointment with me on Handshake or come see me on the third floor of Becker. So that's kind of me in a nutshell. My co-host is Takara Graham. Takara, would you like to tell us a little bit about yourself before we get started?
Yes. Hi, good morning, everyone. My name is Takara Graham. I've been at Florida Southern now for about 4.5 years, 5 years. I don't know. The time is just going so fast. So, like my colleague Megan, I work in the School of Business as well. My official title is Associate Director of Business Internships. So I help all of our business students secure internships, and then I teach all of the internship courses. And I mean, some of you guys probably know me, some of you don't, but I'm happy to be co-hosting this session with Professor Morrow. So, welcome.
Very exciting to be here. Okay, so I'm going to share my screen so that we can talk about, we're going to be talking about professionalism. Where is my share? Well, let me close the chat pod here. Maybe that'll give me more options. Yeah, there it is. For those of you that might not know, I'm not the most tech savvy. I'm always like, I need a tutorial, help. Don't
Right,
laugh.
give me a tutorial, guys.
Help, help. So we're just going to kind of bounce off of each other and just take our time talking about this stuff. Guys, feel free to come off of mute and jump in if you have a question, raise your hands, drop anything in the chat pod if you want. We can make this as interactive if you want. We hear ourselves talk all the time. So please, by all means, feel free to jump in and chat with us, give us your thoughts. But we're going to just talk about professionalism, especially as a presidential ambassador. First and foremost, congratulations on being one or being a returning ambassador, wearing that nice red blazer. That is something. I was an ambassador when I was in school, and they take that pretty seriously. I know here at Florida Southern, you are representing the college. You are working really closely with, senior leadership. You're rubbing elbows with the higher ups, the people that they're bringing onto the campus. If you've been an ambassador, like I said, if you're a returning ambassador, you've been responsible for communicating with some pretty influential people on our campus. Maybe you're driving the golf cart around for some people that are here, or you are hosting events or whatever. But you are representing the college. That's what that red blazer means. You are held to a different standard, whether you're helping at convo or graduation or a specific, VIP guest or something. So you need to, present yourself as a professional. You need to see yourself as a professional. So the first one I want to talk about is be punctual. And I love that this is the first one. And Professor Graham is going to laugh at me because I am like known. I think someone's unmuted. Can you double check that you guys are muted if you're not talking? Because I hear somebody in the background. All right. Thank you. Um, okay. All right, so being punctual, this is one of the most important ways that you can convey professionalism is by being on time. If you're, I mean, you need to be on time, and my motto is be early. I mean, being on time is actually late in my book. Now, some people will argue this, and so like I said, this is why this is near and dear to my heart, and this is why I chose to kind of kick us off and start this one, because I'm never late, and if I'm on time, I'm late, and poor Professor Graham has had to be to many events, early, and she is not happy about it because we're always together. Her and I, our offices are, in Becker together. So whenever we have to go anywhere, we come over to Rogers, on a weekly basis for our team meeting. And so I always make her come with me. So we're always riding the mock mover together. Or if we're going somewhere off site to, something, we always go together. We're affectionately even labeled thing one and thing two by our safety guys. And if I'm ever somewhere on campus without her, they'll even look at me and be like, "There's something different about you. What can't place it," because if we're not together. But it's super important that you guys are on time. If you're driving somewhere, and there's traffic, I mean, Lakeland is crowded. It should be a little easier now with school out. There's not as many like the buses and stuff is not are not on the roads. But here's the thing, like you can't blame traffic and be late every day. It's going to happen every now and then. There's going to be an accident, there's construction, there's going to be a detour, there's going to be unforeseen circumstances, but that can't happen all the time. I'm going to tell you a story. Like there's somebody that I mean I've worked with in the past who was perpetually late, perpetually late. Meetings started late. Everything was on this person's time. We were never on time. And then when that person showed up, it was like everything had to stop and we had to just be ready to go on that person's time. It could be 5 minutes, it could be 15 minutes. And let me tell you, that gives a message of complete and utter disrespect. That person didn't care about anybody else's time but their own. And when you are always late, that's exactly what you're saying. You're saying, I don't care about anybody else but myself. And that is probably not the message that you are trying to give. But when you are not on time, that's exactly what you're saying. Now, think about a job. If you have to punch in and out, you're losing money because your time doesn't start until you punch in. And then you have to either stay after, and get those extra minutes back if you have to work an 8-hour shift or 4-hour shift or something like that. But even if your salary, if you're late, think about, if your professor's late for class. I mean, what message does that send? You're sitting in class, you're on time, you're ready to go, and your professor's late. You're like, you know, well, I'm here. Why can't you be here? Think about how disruptive it is when, the lesson has started and students are coming in after class has started and that door is slamming shut. You guys know these doors, especially like Becker, those doors are heavy and those doors are slamming shut and opening and slamming shut. Think about how disruptive that is. When you're trying to have a lesson or you've got a guest speaker and people who will like just walk right in front of the person presenting and how kind of disruptive and disrespectful that is. So that all of that plays into being punctual. It really sets the tone. Interviews, if you're showing up for an interview late, that immediately is telling that future employer, I'm going to be late to work. If you can't come to an interview on time, you can't come to work on time. A date. I was going on a date with somebody and he was 10 minutes late. And then I gave him a second chance. He was late to the second date. I was like, there's not a third date. I mean, it's just that important. If you can't be respectful of someone's time and be on time, that is, that's it. That's what it boils down to is that you're just not being respectful when you cannot show up on time. So, one of the first things that you can do to convey professionalism is make sure that you are showing up on time. And my personal philosophy is be 5 to 10 minutes early. All right, Professor Graham, you want to take communication?
Sure. So communication. I'll just read here and then kind of just elaborate on my take on communication and how I think it would be helpful for you guys. So, as Professor Morrow mentioned, being punctual is number one, and she's right. Like I will say, with her always being so punctual, is one, it's an admirable trait. Two, it makes me be on time because I don't want her waiting for me, and I want to be on time. And it's something that I'm working on. So definitely heed to what she's saying about being punctual. When you're late, when you're early, or when you're on time, you're actually late, and when you're early, you're on time. And that goes for everything: class, a job, meeting with girlfriends, boyfriends, family. Like you want to try to be on time. Don't be like me. It's something I'm working on, but be punctual. So, communication. When talking with FSC staff or guests at the college, do not address anyone too casually. It is safest to avoid the use of first names unless given permission, but use Dr., Mr., Miss. Always say please and thank you. And this is something that also is manners and respect. If you're not friendly with someone and they've given you liberty to call them by their first name, start with Mr., Miss, Ma'am, Mrs. It just shows a sign of respect, and it's a great way to formally start communication with that person. I know with the generation now, a lot of times you guys are on a first name basis, but if it's someone that is older than you do want to give them that respect in the communication by calling them sir or miss or ma'am, and they will let you know, oh no, you don't have to say ma'am, or you can just call me Takara, or you can just call me Megan, or you can just call me Jim. But start it out in a formal way because you are representing the college at such a high level. You want to make sure that your communication is concise, it's effective, it's clear, and it's respectful. And starting out with a salutation and a greeting is respectful. Also, too, when you're communicating, you don't want to be casual unless you have that kind of relationship. So, if it is someone like, let's say it's an alum and you know them, they graduated this year and you're still here. Maybe they were in a fraternity with you or a sorority and you guys have friendly banter, then yes. But let's say it's an older alum, maybe someone around my age, because I'm 41. You wouldn't just come to me and be like, hey, girl, if we don't have that kind of relationship. You would be like, oh, hi, ma'am, how are you? What are you here for? Are you here for homecoming? Or let me help you to your seat, or let me show you where the Frank Lloyd Wright tour is. So you have to be very conscious about how you're communicating. You always want to be pleasant. Please, thank you, yes, no. Giving eye contact is also a great way to start out communication. So if you're talking to someone at the college, make sure you're looking them in the eyes when you're speaking to them. You don't have a phone in your hand. Even if you're someone who uses your hands like me, make sure that you're standing away so you're not too close with those hand gestures. But communication is something that can easily sway to the left in a negative way. So you want to make sure that your communication is always respectful and that your tone is also pleasant. Even if it's not an interaction that isn't pleasant, try to maintain your composure and make sure that you're communicating in a pleasant way.
Excellent. And communication is broken down. Their message, the words you say is only 7% of your message. Your tone is 33%, I believe, and your nonverbals, which is your facial expression and your body language, is 55%. If that maths, it's somewhere along those percentages. So, it's just like she's saying, like it's your eye contact. It's the way that you move. I'm like, I use my hands as well too.
Me too.
I'm expressive, it's eye contact. It's, are you smiling? Are you, it's the way that you present yourself. So, but it's the words are only 7%. That part I
Yeah.
do know for certain. So yeah, communication is huge. All right, your attire. So when you are in your presidential ambassador uniform, you have the red jacket. I believe it's like I know navy blue pants. I believe I've seen mostly, but maybe it's also khaki pants. And then I think it's a white shirt of some sort where there's a button down or something like that. But I don't know if you have freedom to wear just any other white or something like that. But nothing that, ladies, we don't need to see any type of cleavage. We don't need spaghetti straps or like some type of tube top. It needs to be a blouse, a work blouse of sorts, gentlemen. Whether it's a polo or a button down, it could be short sleeve or long sleeve, whatever Stacy Bryan has told you before, because I think she's your contact. Whatever they tell you, needs to be, but we do not need to be exposing anything, ladies. And make sure that it fits you. It doesn't need to be too tight, doesn't need to be baggy, and it does not need to be wrinkled. You need, when you look good, guys, you feel good. All of a sudden, when you are dressing and looking good, your posture improves, your head comes up, your confidence will come out when you look and feel good. I know, like today, I am sporting some princess shoes. I have been talking about these shoes for 2 days. And I'm strutting because I know I look good, and I have got on a brand new dress too that I've never worn. And so and I'm excited, so I've got on a pretty new dress and I've got on these sparkly, pretty princess shoes and I feel good. And so again, my posture is different, my confidence is exuding, and you feel good. So make sure that you are looking good, even when you're not in your ambassador role. People know you as an ambassador on this campus, so you need to be representing at all time. You're just held to a different standard. You chose it. So that you've got to embody it at all times. Just as an educator, I'm held to a different standard in society than, say, someone who's a bartender or someone who, is running a grocery store. I'm just held to a different standard. It's the life I chose. So it's the same with you. So your attire says a lot about you. People do make first impressions, they make snap judgments based on your appearance. So make sure that what you're putting out there is the appearance that you want people to be judging you on. We got something in the chat pod. Yeah. Do you want to take confidentiality and I'll check the chat pod?
Yes, I did want to just add something to what Professor Morrow mentioned about attire. So, how she mentioned when you look good, you feel good, and not to be wrinkled. Also, another thing is, even when you are wearing your presidential ambassador's attire, you want to make sure that in terms of like perfume or cologne, it's not too strong. I'm a perfume girly, so I have to be cautious about where I'm going and what scent I choose. So be cognizant of that, ladies and gentlemen, your scents as well. Also, not just your clothes being wrinkled, but you want to make sure your shoes are clean. A lot of people take a look at your shoes. See how Professor Mara said she has on shiny shoes? People are going to notice that and give her compliments about her shoes all day or anytime she wears them. The same would be about dirty shoes. So you want to make sure that your shoes are clean. Young ladies, your shoes are, well maintained. They're not crusty and old and dusty. So you just want to make sure everything, your hair is well groomed, your nails are well groomed. You just look polished and professional at all times. So someone put in the chat, let's see, Eli. Is it considered unprofessional to arrive at an event, meeting, etc., using an unconventional form of transportation? I ask because I often travel around campus by bike and want to make sure that would be appropriate. That's a great question. Well, I'll go first and then Megan, you want to jump in after?
Sure.
Um, I do not think it would be considered unprofessional. So like say if you're meeting someone on campus, we know a lot of students use their bikes or scooters or mopeds, whatever they're called. So that wouldn't be unprofessional. I mean, now what I would say would be unprofessional is if you roll up to the meeting in that bike late and someone's outside waiting for you. But if you're on time or you're early and you go and park it where it needs to be and you're meeting whomever you're meeting, whether it's professional or it's casual, no. Because I mean, what if you lived in New York? That's how a lot of people travel and that's their mode of transportation. So no, that's not, I wouldn't consider that unprofessional and I don't think any professionals would either.
Yeah, Eli, great question. And to piggyback off of what Dakar is saying, 100%, absolutely not. I would like fold your jacket nicely, make sure like, maybe you have a backpack with you so that it wouldn't be wrinkled on the way there, something like that. Because the dean of the School of Business rides his moped, rides his scooter, because he lives
Mm-hmm.
right on the lake. So he doesn't
Yeah,
always drive and he's the dean. So
absolutely.
yeah, so 100%. Just be, if it's raining, and then of course it's going to be Florida, it's going to be hot. I would make sure that you are able to like, to freshen up if you're going to be sweaty upon arrival. Just use your judgment, but absolutely not bikes, scooters, anything like that. Nope, perfectly fine.
I
All
would
right, great
agree.
question. Yeah, keep them coming, guys.
All right, so confidentiality. Be attuned to the possibility of hearing sensitive information. Some information may be confidential. Be sure you understand and maintain confidentiality, and please reach out to Stacy with any questions. So this is a big one. Simply because, as it mentions, you will hear a lot of sensitive information, and that will not be information that you need to repeat to your roommate, to a friend, to a club member, a colleague, a faculty member, professor, family member, anything. You're almost, well, you are like a vault. So the information that you hear, you need to let it go in one ear and out the other, unless it is something specific that you have to discuss with Stacy or some of the leadership team. Other than that, you want to make sure that you are keeping everything confidential. Whatever sensitive information that you are hearing or that someone is telling to you, you want to make sure that you go to the proper channels to express what was told to you. You want to be sure that you are just leaving it wherever it is. You don't want to spread any gossip, any rumors, and just be kind of cognizant of, participating in conversations that might be surrounding said sensitive information or participating in conversations that can lead to sensitive topics. So that's also something that you want to be aware of. But obviously, you guys, this is something you can handle or you wouldn't have been chosen as a presidential ambassador. So, but yeah, just be mindful of it. Be mindful of the information that you're hearing, the information that people will tell you, and just what the proper channels are or where and who you should go to if it is something really important. And it's just something that, you want to keep as a vault until your time is up as an ambassador.
Yeah, very important. And if you're unsure if it's considered confidential information, just ask somebody. But
Yeah.
when in doubt, just keep it to yourself. There's a lot that goes down here in Rogers, and more so than I know because I'm not over here as often, and I'm currently working out of Rogers right now, so I'm speaking into Rogers. Um, but the people come over here for discipline. People come over here that have accommodations because they have some type of disability. They might come over here for, maybe they came over here because they're in crisis and they thought the counseling center was over here, it's not your place to share any of that information. And just kind of put yourself in that student's shoes. Would you want, somebody else being like, oh my God, girl, you wouldn't believe I just saw Takara Graham in this office and she was crying. Oh my God, she's flunking out. And apparently, something happened at home. Even if Takara shared that information, it's not up to you to share. So just kind of treat everything as if it's confidential and just kind of err on the side of caution that way. All right. Demonstrate commitment and focus. So this is another big one. If you assume responsibility for a task, follow through in completing it. If you get stuck and have exhausted all of your options, always ask for help. If you cover a shift for somebody, if you say you're going to be somewhere, this just speaks to your integrity as not just a presidential ambassador, but as a person in general. You know, say what you mean and mean what you say and follow through. Be that person that we can count on, that anybody can count on. You are making a name for yourself. You are getting to know some really influential people, not only at the college, but you're networking with so many people that your peers aren't getting the opportunity to meet just because of the position that you've put yourself in to be a member of this team. And if you create a name for yourself in a negative light, that's going to hurt you as far as down the road when you're like, hey, it's time for me to get an internship or time to get a job or maybe a letter of recommendation. Versus the other way, when you've met all these really cool people and you've made all these really great connections, how cool would it be for one of us to be like, oh my God, I know this internship because this is what Takar and I do all day long. We know so many employers and they call us personally and they'll be like, I mean, they'll say, hey, I have this open position. And I'll be like, I know the perfect person. And I will call up somebody or text them or something like, hey, send me your resume right now. Or does this interest you? Or, hey, let me introduce you to this employer because I know you personally. I know if I can vouch for you, I will 100% go to bat for you. But if you've proven that I can't count on you, I'm not going to put my name behind you. And so that's that commitment piece. And so when you demonstrate commitment and focus and follow through, and you're showing me this strong work ethic that you have, and you've done it here and you've done it well, then I'm going to be like, well, they've done such a great job for us. I know they're going to do a great job for this employer that I have a great relationship with. Because I'm not going to put my name behind something with an employer that I have a good relationship with and then let you tarnish that relationship that I have. I mean, it's all full circle. So not only do we want you to do a good job while you're here, because we're depending on you and we've given you a task that has to do with the presidential ambassador role, but you're also setting yourself up for future success beyond this role. So always be thinking with, your next steps in mind, not just the task at hand, but how is this also setting you up for future? And also just ask, guys. You will get so much more respect from everybody around you by admitting that you don't know, that you need help versus trying to figure something out on your own and then kind of kind of falling short or making a mess. I mean, you're going to make mistakes, of course. Own those. That's a whole other spiel I could go on. Everybody makes mistakes. First of all, don't pretend like you don't. We all do. But the second that you can own it and be like, whoa, hey, I screwed up. I need some help. I'm in over my head. I made a huge mistake. Let me own it. Let me fix it. Or I don't know what I'm doing. I need some help. You're going to get so much more respect than being like, hey, I know everything. I don't need any help. Let me just figure this out. Or you can be like, hey, I tried to figure it out. It didn't work. Somebody please help me. So much more respect. And then, everybody's in this together. Nobody expects you to be able to know everything. So give it your all, be committed, do what you're supposed to be doing while you're here. Ask for help if you need it. All right, what do we got here in the chat pod? From a career services, this is from Daniel. From a career services perspective, what professional behaviors make the strongest impression in formal settings? Okay, good question, Daniel. So professional behaviors. Well, kind of the stuff we've been talking about, dressing professionally, being on time, taking the initiative to introduce yourself to people. Don't be sitting off on the side like against the wall and waiting for people to approach you. Be confident enough in yourself. And I've seen you do this, Daniel. I don't think this would be an issue for you at all, but making sure that you're going up to people right away, introducing yourself. A firm, strong handshake goes so far. Like Takara said earlier, making eye contact, not being on your phone. Guys, take your earbuds out. I know you love to have those earbuds in. I do too. I do too, but when you're in a professional setting, when you're in class, when you're meeting with people, those earbuds have got to come out. I know that you're like, oh, it helps me focus. I learn better. I understand that, but that's not professional. I can't be in a board meeting with my team sitting next to my boss with an earbud in and think I'm going to get away with it. Again, it might be like, hey, it helps me focus, but the message, remember I talked about that 7:33:55, that nonverbal, that body language is me saying, I'm not paying attention. You, if I got an earbud in, the message I'm saying is, you've got nothing of value to tell me, and I'm tuning you out. That's exactly the message, and that's just the message. So, um, being dressed professionally, being on time, being more interested than being interesting. So asking good questions, being cognizant, being present, being mentally present. Don't be on your phone. And just trying to introduce yourself to as many people as possible. Takara, do you want anything else you could add about Daniel's question?
I actually think those are great. And it kind of ties into our next point. Be present in every way. So I don't have anything else to add, but it does tie into our next point. So be present in every way. Turn your cell phone off or put it in silent mode. Do not check social media or surf the internet while on duty. Be alert and attentive and convey enthusiasm even when you're feeling tired. So I would say, I mean, it lends itself to what Megan just mentioned about professional behaviors. Those are all things that you would want to convey in a professional setting. Even if you are tired, it's very much fake it till you make it. You have to be on. You have to put on a brave face, a pleasant face, so to speak. You have to be enthusiastic. You have to be welcoming and warm. So being present in the moment, not checking your phone. I know we live in a cell phone society. I'm on my phone. Everyone's on their phone, but this is not the time nor the place. So you want to put your phone in your pocket, put it on silent, do not disturb, whatever you need to do so it's not ringing, it's not vibrating, you're not feeling anxious to check it. And you don't want to do any of those things. You don't want to check social media, none of that. It may be a point where maybe, they're like, hey, let's take a selfie or a group shot, post it on socials, something of that sort. Maybe it's like a homecoming or an SGA thing, maybe. But other than that, you want to make sure your phone is tucked away and you're being present because that's how you're going to make those connections. That's how you're going to show up as your most authentic professional self because you are present and in the moment. As Professor Morrow mentioned, you guys are going to be placed in so many rooms that your reputation will precede you, and then your reputation is what is going to withstand you. So you want to make sure that you are present. You're able to put your best foot forward because people will remember their interactions with you and meeting you when you're present, when you're focused, when you're attentive and you're paying attention to them. So I would say make sure that, you are present. And a lot of times we miss the moments and we miss things because we're worrying about social media or we're thinking about something or multiple things. But when you're doing something as a presidential ambassador, that is the time to shut your brain off and focus on that task, that moment, that event.
Oh, those are so excellent points. And the other thing I wanted to add is your watch. I was
I'm
with
guilty.
um, we all are. We all are. If I, me too, I've got a smartwatch, and I'm gonna tell you guys, I was with a student and he would always kind of pop in. He was in that classroom, that lab that's on the third floor of Becker. So since my office is right there, like whenever he was on break, he'd kind of pop in and he'd hang out with me for the 15-minute break that he would get in class. And there was one time, I mean, he was like, he just kept he was doing this, and finally I was like, dude, are you late? Like, do you need to get back? He was like, oh no, no, these are text messages. And I was like, dude. And I have a good relationship with this kid, so I called him a colorful name. But don't turn me in, I'll deny it. So I was like, dude, we'll just say I said that to him. And I was like, you're being so rude. And he's like, what? And I was like, I said, you're checking your phone. And he's like, no, I'm looking at my watch. And I was like, you're looking at your text messages. And it took him a second, then the light bulb went off in his little pea brain. And he was like, oh. And I was like, it is the equivalent of you doing this while I am talking to you. And I was like, if your text message is that important, I said, just go, just go. And it kind of took him a second, but then it like I said, the light bulb went off and he was like, oh my gosh. He was like, then he was like, I'm so sorry. And I was like, it's cool. But I had to kind of pull him up on his awareness. Like you looking at your watch nonstop is the equivalent of you picking up your phone and texting while I am talking to you. Don't do that. Don't do that, guys. If it is that disruptive, like Takar was saying, put it on do not disturb. Our phones are designed to take our attention. Social media is designed it listens to us, guys. I was in New York City with my younger son for his birthday. We did New York City for a few days, and both of us, even though I never once did anything on social media that said, what are some cool things to look at in New York City? I only have Instagram and I don't even know how to use it, but I only have it because of our career service peers post stuff for career services. And I have Facebook. So I got on Facebook and sure enough, nonstop on my feed was things to do in New York City, things to do in New York City, and same on his feed. Neither one of us typed anything in about New York City, and I didn't even post anything on my Facebook until we got home. So our phones are designed to steal our attention. That's why it's called doom scrolling. That's why they're called fun like time suckers, you know. So it's supposed to suck away our attention. If you can't not look at it, put it on do not disturb, or take your smartwatch off or something like that. Because if you're constantly tapping it and looking at it and doing whatever, it's unprofessional. And we're all guilty of it. So I'm pulling you up on your awareness, just like I did the student. And that'll be the same thing in a job interview. We're going to talk about interview skills in one of our future professional developments, and we'll talk about that as well. And just you need to put it on do not disturb. But it's good to have it because Takara just made mention too. If you're at a networking event, yes, take a picture because you do want to put that on your LinkedIn. You do want to put that on your social, and then that way you can kind of meet with people. It is okay to have your phone with you because maybe you meet with somebody because like with me, I don't want to forget. So I might meet with somebody and chat with you for a couple minutes, and then I'll step away from the group and I might grab my phone out and get my notes out and be like, okay, I just met with Takara Graham. She's the associate director at Florida Southern College, and we talked about da 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 da. And I'm going to remind myself, if I'm intentionally networking, I would like to do that. Or better yet, if I got her business card, this is a networking tip. If I got her business card, I'm going to pull out one of mine here. And so I get her business card, right? So in the video, I'm all weirded out. I can't stand technology. On the back of it, I could write on it to
Yeah.
Graham. I met her at this networking event, and I'm going to write down something personal that I remember about her so that when I follow up with her, I've got her business card on the one front, and then I've got information of what I met about her on the other side. And that helps me remember her. But if I didn't get her business card, I might put it on my notes app on my phone. So that's a little networking tidbit for you. All right,
Yeah,
so we
that's
did have
great.
sorry,
No,
Takara?
I was saying great. That's great.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. All right. So Daniel says, I have a question that I think many ambassadors can relate to, especially when attending a new event as a new ambassador. What advice do you have for navigating professional events when the environment feels unfamiliar or when you're unsure how to engage first? Ooh, good question. Okay. This is excellent, Daniel. First, don't go around in groups. You need to break off and you need to go individually. Maybe one or maybe two is okay, but don't cluster together as like a little security blanket. You guys have got to be comfortable in being uncomfortable. First of all, that's where you grow. You're going to grow in that and when you're uncomfortable. No one grows when you're in your comfort zone. So I challenge you to learn and be comfortable in being uncomfortable. Next, You want to look for groups that are open. Now, if I had a couple people here, it'd be easier. But like when groups are standing, when they're kind of forming a closed group, like even if it's two or three people, if they're facing each other, they're more, you could tell their body language is more closed. That group might be a little bit more hard to infiltrate. Look for groups that are almost standing a little bit more open. So maybe like if they're off to a side, maybe like they're open at a degree versus standing straight on where they're closed off, but they're kind of open a little bit. That'll show you that you might have a little bit of an angle to get to work your way in. If they're like their groups are kind of standing like this, they'd be considered open versus closed like that. So those would be groups that you might want to be able to work into. I would just walk up to a group, smile more than you think that you should, because we all walk around with RBF more than we realize, guys. You have to be more approachable than you realize. Smile, don't be creepy, like, so happy to be here. It's got to be authentic and it's got to be a little bit more natural. So here's something too. If you're really, really, really nervous, take two sharp inhales and one exhale. It'll reset your nervous system, just like when you're crying really hard. Try it. It resets your nervous system. Two sharp inhales, one exhale will reset your nervous system and it'll bring your heart rate down. I know we've all heard about deep breathing and all that kind of stuff. That helps too. But the two sharp inhales, one exhale will bring down your nervous system. And then just kind of walk up to a group, just listen for an in, try to find something that you can relate to, and then just jump into the conversation. You know, People want to welcome you, especially students, especially if you're at some type of, they know that you're, a student or something like that. They want you to be there. So those are some of my best tips, but try to find something that you can relate to. I hope that helps. All right, we're going to pick it up just a little bit so we can get through everything. All right, be respectful of those around you. All right, do not chew gum loudly. Oh, my Lord, have mercy. Just don't chew gum at all. Speak too loudly or verbosely, or wearing heavy cologne or perfume. This goes back to what Dakar was saying earlier. You could literally be choking someone out. You can wear stuff, sure. I say on a job interview, don't wear any at all, but just be sparing. Maybe spray in the air and walk through it. Just be cautious of how much you're putting on. Respect personal boundaries. In the United States, guys, we have a 6 foot personal boundary space of people we don't know, 3 feet of people that we're friends with that we know, and 1 feet to our intimate personal partners. But even then, that's pretty stinking close. I'd be like, I will throat punch you, get in my space. So just be cognizant of boundaries. Different cultures have different boundaries. I remember when I was in Germany, they don't have that personal boundary space, but I had to remind myself that I was in somebody else's culture. So I had to deal with it because I was like, I'm here in my bubble, but I was not in America. So, just be respectful of people's boundaries. If somebody's backing away from you, take the hint. Read the room. Okay. But be friendly and make a polite effort to connect with people around you. Try to find something personal. We talk about this in my professional development class all the time. Try to connect. What is it? Is it, do you guys share a love of hunting, or is there a sport that you both played, or maybe you're both from the same small town and had a cow for a friend? That might be my story. Or maybe you got a best friend who makes fun of you for having a cow for a friend when you were growing up as a kid. Find something that you maybe connect with. Okay. All right. Takara, you want to take the next one?
Sure. So be trustworthy and direct in both speech and action and accept accountability for yourself. It's okay to make mistakes. It's not okay to deny those mistakes or fabricate excuses. So this is a great one because you guys will be in so many situations that calls for you to use your leadership skills, and that calls for you to use your discernment and to be accountable and to be trustworthy. things are bound to happen. Mistakes are bound to be made. Everyone makes mistakes. But the one thing you cannot do is make excuses for those mistakes. You have to hold yourself accountable and move on. If there's an issue and you did something wrong or you didn't handle a situation the proper way, if an apology is due, apologize and say, hold yourself accountable, talk to yourself and also talk to the parties involved. Make a promise to yourself moving forward. I'm going to do things differently. I'm not going to do things this kind of way. And then whomever the situation is with, I apologize sincerely for X, Y, and Z, and then be genuine in that apology. Um, and that's really what I would say about that. I mean, it's not much to say other than hold yourself accountable. Be true to who you are, be true to the standards that are set for you in this particular role, and just be a good human being. That's really what it boils down to, is just being a good human being and being able to hold yourself accountable for something that may happen. You may not even make a mistake, but we all make mistakes, even simple mistakes. You could do something as stepping on someone's shoe and you didn't mean to, it was an accident. And if you just walk by like, oh, well, I stepped on their shoe, that's really not being a good human being. It takes a simple 2 seconds to say, my apologies, I'm sorry, excuse me. So something just as simple as that, you're holding yourself accountable for stepping on someone's shoes and giving them a polite apology. So I would say just be mindful in the interactions that you have. And if any mistakes happen or uncomfortable situations, kind of talk to yourself about how you would move forward with that and make sure that, you're holding everyone accountable, not just yourself.
Yeah, that's a great one. Like she said, everybody makes mistakes. Even if you don't realize that you made the mistake, if somebody comes to you and it's like, hey, you really kind of this happened, oh my gosh, I didn't even realize, even if it's unintentional, I am sorry. Like I've had to do that in my professional career, my personal career. It's when you can't do that, first of all, you lose that respect that we talked about earlier, and it's like just deal like own it, like deal with it. Like when you blame other people, I could tell you another story that it was a boss I worked for. I tried to bring this up to this person and it was immediate. Oh, no, that I didn't do that and this is somebody else's fault. And I'm like, how do I wait, what? Like, and how am I supposed to follow you? How am I supposed to have respect for you when now you're lying? Not only did you screw up, and now you won't take any responsibility, and now you're lying, and now you're trying to make other people pay, like, whoa, now this one small little thing now just blew up into something huge when it didn't need to be, So just be accountable, and just, again, the respect will go so high, even if you didn't realize that you did it. If you just take responsibility and ownership for it, and not in just this role, but in your life and everything, relationships and everything, you will just skyrocket. And the last thing I'm going to talk on this, and then I'm going to let Takara have the last 9 minutes to talk about branding. But just have fun and be confident in your own abilities and your potential. Because when you're enjoying something, as you can tell, like we love what we do. Obviously, we wouldn't be here for the amount of years that we've been here doing the things that we do. I'm not going to blow smoke and say, when you love what you do, you never work a day in your life. Blah, blah, blah. That's so dumb. It's still work, but when you love it, you enjoy it, and you love coming to do it, and it comes across and the enthusiasm, the energy clearly. I mean, like I love what I do. Takara loves what she does. We love being here. We love working with you guys, and it shows. I mean, I hope it shows. So I hope that shows with you guys as well and what you guys do. So have fun. All right, so I'm going to give this over to Dakar. She's going to talk to you guys, take about 8 minutes or so, and talk to you guys about professional and personal branding.
So, guys, professional and personal branding, I really probably don't even need the full 8 minutes because we've talked so much about just presenting yourself as a professional, which lends itself to your personal branding. But what I will say is because you guys applied and or were chosen to be presidential ambassadors, that just goes to show that you guys have a lot of leadership qualities and you may be potentially looking to be in a leadership role at some point in your career. So you want to make sure that your professional and personal branding is synonymous. You want even, okay, so like I use social media a lot as an example. I know our social media is like how we show our personality, right? But now in the age that we're in, everybody goes to social media to kind of see who a person is, to do research, things like that. So you want to make sure the two are aligned. If you want to have like a spam page and you wowed out or crash out, as you guys like to say, by all means do that. But like your personal socials that people can easily find you on, you want to make sure those are aligned with who you're planning to be professionally and who you already are. So because you guys are presidential ambassadors, if I were to go and look at your Instagram, Daniel, or TikTok, and I see you binge drinking, I'm like, what? Like that would be bizarre, right? So you want to make sure that you're just cognizant of those things because your brand is who you are as a person, professionally and personally, and it will follow you all the days of your life, especially with this internet culture that we're in. Nothing is ever deleted. So you want to make sure that they both line up with who you are, that your personal mission is who you are as a person and it speaks to your values and your core. And obviously, that would be someone who is a leader, someone who is trustworthy, someone who can hold themselves accountable. So keep that in mind with social posting, how you're interacting with your peers, how you're interacting with leadership, how you're interacting with a random stranger on a Saturday afternoon, because your personal brand lends itself to be your professional brand. And you want to make sure that, you're always branding yourself in the best light. That's why showing up punctual, showing up friendly and warm and looking well put together, that is all a part of your personal brand. Like I'll use myself as for example, I just happen to be a fashion girly, so I like all things fashion, makeup, clothes, shoes, everything, hair, everything you can name. So you will rarely see me not looking put together. Now, if I just run to take my kids to get ice cream, I may have on sweats and like a t-shirt, but they're going to be like high-end sweats and like a nice shirt, right? So if someone sees me, they're going to be like, oh, yeah, well, I know Takara, she always looks nice. Like, because that's my personal brand. So kind of keep those things in mind on your everyday journey. I know it may seem like a lot to kind of always be so cognizant, but where you're going and where life will take you, you have to be because you never know who you're going to meet, the rooms you're going to be in, the people you'll be put in front of, and you want to always make a lasting impression and you want that impression to be great. You want someone to think about you when you're not in the room, but they say, "Oh, using Daniel because I see his comment. Daniel is great. I think I want him for this job, or I want to introduce him to this person because I think they'll hit it off good, or maybe they'll have a good partnership." So show up how you want to always be seen, and if you want to be seen in the best light, then that means you have to show up that way. And remember that your personal brand and your professional brand are one and the same. Megan, I'll let you close us out.
All right, perfect. Okay, could not have said that better. Have one story to tell is what I've heard from employers and people who are talking about, branding. I do the employability skill series, and I had a guy on the call, actually, it was my uncle, and he owns a branding company, and he talks about that as well too. He says, have one story to tell. I like how you're saying if you want to have, a burner page, kind of, if you will, that is, not associated with, your full name or something like that. Just be super careful that it doesn't get tied back to you. So clean up your social media if you absolutely have to, if you've got stuff on there. I know I have done that in the past, maybe just silly things I've posted, but you shouldn't put anything on there that you would be embarrassed if, say, your parents saw or your significant other's parents saw or a future employer because they will look you up. They'll stalk you faster than an ex who found out you're dating somebody new. Trust me, they will. All right, guys. So we're gonna go ahead and we're gonna stop. This is it. Thank you, everybody. You had some good comments. Thank you, Eli and Daniel, for your questions. Um, I got everybody's attendance, it looks like. There was the five of you, so I have everybody. If you have any questions, let us know. I'm gonna give you guys a sneak peek at the shoe though.
Look at those bad boys.
It sparkles!
Yes, such a
Oh
Cinderella
my God.
moment.
Yay, I'm so glad. Sorry, it's a girl thing. All right, guys. Yeah, thanks. Thanks, Eli.
Bye, everyone. If you guys ever have questions, I am in Becker Business Building in 233 because I think I forgot that in my intro.
And I'm in 323. So I'm on the third floor. Takara's on the second floor. We will meet again in 2 weeks. I'm also going to give this recording to Stacy. So if you guys need anything, let us know. Thank you, everybody. And we'll see you in 2 weeks.
Bye, guys.